Yes, people, big up. Welcome back to Football's 12th Man podcast. As ever, I'm your host, Dan Potts, and we're back again to discuss Arsenal and Manchester United. And who better to get on than Manchester United fan Saeed? How you doing, my bro?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Not too bad. Well, I could be better, but it is what it is, man. But in life, it's good, man. The sun's out. You know what I mean? It's the best kind of therapy for any kind of fan. You know what I mean? When you don't have any signings of late or any positive news. But other than that, man, I'm good. And a pleasure to have me on, man. Big up to you.
Nah, listen, I'm a big fan. I know everybody else is, man. So it's always good to get yourself on, bro. And we're going to talk Man United and Arsenal, man. I'm going to start with Man United, man, because I'm
Mm.
sick and tired of talking about Arsenal every single time,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
So let's
yeah.
talk about you boys. Listen, I grew up in an era where we were the big dogs. Do you know what I mean? It was
Mm,
Arsenal United every year, man. I think it's fair to say from 1996 right the way through to 2006, it was who's going to win the league, Arsenal or United, obviously, until
mm,
Chelsea and Mourinho come along. And I feel like it's really sad for both clubs, and even for me. I don't like Man United, and I know you don't like Arsenal, but actually when you look at
mm,
where we've fallen, it is quite sad as a football fan and as a neutral. But things, I think,
mm,
transition wise, for both clubs have been very different. Arsenal have
mm,
stripped everything back, trusting a process, going with young, inexperienced kids and trying to build for a future. And it's something that I've slated and not wanted to happen whatsoever. I've much preferred to have seen the way that Tottenham have gone by getting an Antonio Conte to try and win now.
mm,
But I want to get your opinion on Man U in general, man, because I look at United and I just think you've gone the other way in terms of trying to look at players ready to win now. So, like,
mm,
you might not have gone for the manager. You've gone for the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, Ralph Rangnick, and now it's Eric Ten
mm.
Hag, who are probably going to be there long, or hopefully for your sake, there long term.
Well,
But
yeah.
but players, Ronaldo, Bruno, Pogba, all
Mm,
let's win now. It's never been a they're not going to be here in 5 years. It's always been a little bit
mm.
confusing from the outset. So I want to get your opinion on where perhaps you think it's gone wrong over the last few years, mate.
Boy, mate, I think ultimately, when you get the success of Alex Ferguson, it's never going to be easy to replicate that. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's near enough impossible. There's teams that have been great for so many years. You're looking at AC Milan. You know, they were one of the greats, the fallen giants. It took them the best out of 15 odd years to kind of get themselves back. The last time they won the title was 2011, but I think before that they were in and around hovering. I think the early 2000s in Milan, they were great. I think that's what kind of happened. The kind of commercial aspects of the club took over the football aspects, and that's what ultimately has happened to Man United. Is that we've kind of forgotten about the history of the football club, what it kind of meant, and what we were made of, and that was just kind of winning titles. I think the other aspect of the football club took over priority, and that's the commercial side of it, making the club look good, making the traditions of the football club look good, living off the past is inessential, and that's what they've done for 9 years. And they've tried to do quick fixes. They've tried to come in. I mean, the David Moyes signing was never going to work. You know what I mean? A guy who was recommended by Fergie was never going to replicate that. I thought the next one, Van Gaal, should have been the one, but it didn't happen. I think he got sacked a bit too early. Just about when project was about to start starting it. We sacked him after the FA Cup, and it was almost as if it's a bit harsh. But then when I remember I went to I know I didn't go to the final, but a lot of people mentioned that in Wembley, there was an atmosphere and there was people celebrating the Mourinho signing, and people were on Twitter and whatnot because it was Mourinho. But in reality, it wasn't the Mourinho. It looked like a Mourinho that maybe looked finished, that maybe, wasn't at his best, but still got his two trophies. And he was the last success at Old Trafford, and that's 5 years ago. And I think ultimately, then we went back to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, fan favorite. But again, I was very, very harsh and critical of Ole because I thought it was based on sentiment. There wasn't actually much there, but because it felt like Fergie, everybody just liked it. And it was a case of feeling that comfort zone. But right now, you know what I mean? We had Ragnick last year. It didn't go well. The players gave in. But I think ultimately now we've got a manager who is someone that I think is credible, as someone that can bring us in some success. It's going to take a while. We have to be patient. And to undo the last 10 years, it's going to take a lot. It might take 5 years. It might take a longer. But I think right now it's about, for me, creating a style of play and creating that belief. Because if we don't have that belief, there's not much to, even you as an Arsenal fan can fight in that. If you don't have that belief in something that you can believe in, I'm sorry, it ain't gonna work. So it's just having that belief, and the fans united in one thing. We've not had that since, I reckon, since Alex Ferguson. Everybody one belief that we're gonna win. and we've not had that. So yeah, that's pretty much it, mate. We just want to believe that we can get back to the top, because ultimately top four, come on, man, that's not where Man United should be, nor should really Arsenal. When you look at how big they were, especially in mine when I was growing up, you know what I mean?
100%, bro. And I could not agree with anything more than what you're saying. Disagree with anything you're saying, because when you talk, it sounds like it's me talking in terms of where you should be. And you keep
Yeah,
mentioning words like belief, belief, belief. It's been the hope
mm,
that's killed both of our clubs. All the fans have been
yeah,
hoping and hoping and hoping that it's going to work.
mm,
This Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thing should have stopped miles before they did,
mm,
and it was just hope that killed it. The second place, hope that we can now get 4 signings and do it. There was so
mm,
much more wrong, and I do believe both of our owners have to look at themselves as well, because I know they spend money,
yep,
and I know United and Arsenal in the top four of the net spend in the last few years. But where's the ambition to take us back to the top? Because it's fine
mm,
spending money, but you don't have a plan with it, and you're giving money to people who aren't experienced enough to make the right decisions. You have to look at the ownership and say, you're the
mm,
ones that are the problem. But when I look at Manchester United, bro, and going into this
mm,
season now, it looks like Ten Hag at least has the experience of play and a philosophy of style that perhaps Manchester United need. And where I think that Man
mm,
United could do some business decent is if they try to get the connect with the fans back, because it looks to me as if the fans are just like near
mm.
on giving up, mate. That's particularly last
Massively.
season. It
Mm.
was hard to
Oh,
watch
mate.
for you guys, wasn't it?
Mate, it was tough, man. I think the 5-0, man. I don't know why. I don't know how I stayed, man. I think that was probably the worst kind of feeling I felt, man. You know what I mean, or whatnot. And I think ultimately it was like it felt like for me the season was done in February. I mean, I don't know if you kind of watched it, but my match reactions at Old Trafford were kind of just the
Yeah.
same. Everybody was like, yeah, this guy's saying the same stuff every minute. And it was ultimately that feeling. I feel like it was a case of, again, repeat, rinse and repeat with my United. And that's been the situation for the last, what, like 10 years of this football club, just rinse and repeat. And I think ultimately there has to be a plan. Everybody needs to kind of understand where we're going, and we've not had that. I think this Eric Ten Hag one, I'll be honest with you, if this Eric Ten Hag doesn't work, I think for me it will never work, because you've now got a manager with a clear plan. Now you need to back him. Now you need to have full faith in the manager, what he wants, and you have to listen to him. You don't know better than the manager. And you know what? Sometimes I feel like people say that you shouldn't say that. Well, these owners don't know anything. You know, you're seeing them bloody at a pub talking to Man United fans. That's how bad it's getting now at the minute, because ultimately people have had enough, and now the manager and the football director should now coexist. They should build a foundation. Say, right, we need to build something that is a project that is sustainable. Everything they've done in the past hasn't been sustainable. Now let's build a plan and let this be sustainable in the long run. So we haven't got players that are leaving after 2 years. That we're not just giving out contracts. That we're not just buying players when they're past their best. Even though I think Ronaldo signing so far has been a success. Not buying players based on commercial value. We're actually having a plan and say, right, you know what? Ten Hag, this is the profile of player we're going to get. Right, let's go get him. Obviously, right now, at the minute, we haven't made signings. Apparently, they're doing things differently. So time will tell on that one. But I've seen in the past that some things don't change, Dan. You know when you just think that some things don't change? That's why part of me is thinking, right, I'm hopeful. But there's also part of me thinking, well, why is it going to change for another manager that's come through the door when you had the biggest manager in the world come in the door in Mourinho and you didn't really back him? So what changes for Ten Hag? So that's why I'm saying time will tell. But things, a leopard doesn't, what's the old saying? A leopard doesn't change his
Leopard
spots,
don't change its spots. Yeah, man.
There you go, man. So end of the day, we're kind of wait and see FC. We're interested FC. We're so many FCs. And at the minute, we want to see, the fruits of it. And I think right now, De Jong, Anthony, they're part of the puzzle. But the main part of the puzzle is getting a style of play and the football and the manager being a one level playing field. If we can do that, Dan, I think we're somewhere. If we don't, and he has a philosophy and they have a philosophy and they clash, and Ten Hag leaves after a year, then we're screwed. So we've got to be a one kind of story, a one book.
Well, let me bring this question in from
Yeah,
Mark. Mark's a regular listener. He said, Saeed,
big up.
do you trust the United process? Because this trust the process does my head in, bro. That's all I hear from Arsenal fans. Trust the process, trust the process. But actually, what is the ultimate goal of the process? Because to me, it's to win a league title, and we're miles away from that. So do you trust that Man United will get back to the top? Because you've already said they're spending money, and you believe this got
Yeah.
planned now under Ten Hag. Do you think this Ten Hag thing will work? And do you have the faith that the ownership will back him?
I think Ten Hag, I'm confident in what Ten Hag brings. I'm confident in what kind of manager Ten Hag is. He's a coach, he's a one-to-one coach. He's someone who has built Ajax from really nothing on a budget that's small. They're a selling club. So he's had to do 2 rebuilds at Ajax. I'm very confident in him. But whether you're confident in Man United is a different story. I mean, some people say trust the process, but there has to be a plan before the process. If there's a plan, and then we can buy into it, then yeah, full well. If the manager says now in 5 years we're going to compete in, I can say right, okay, let's be patient. Let's see where we go in 2-3 years, and then adjust our expectations accordingly to whatever fits. I think ultimately, I'll be honest with you, Liverpool and Man City are light years ahead of us, and that includes
Oh yeah.
Arsenal. I think they're light years, man. I'll be honest with you, it's dog eat dog out there, man. The reason why I don't really look towards titles, I said to a lot of people, yeah, and I know this sounds crazy here, but I'm looking towards the Carabao Cups first, winning the FA Cups, and then building that into something. It's different with other clubs because they can say, well, FA Cup and you don't reach top four, I'm not bothered. I want that top four. Other people think like that. I'm going to be honest with you. I come from a different angle in terms of these players need to understand what it means lifting trophies. These lot have not won trophies. I mean, we've not won a trophy in 5 years. Like, to win the FA Cup, to win the Carabao Cup, then to build it up, and then to kind of feel right, we can tackle on this Premier League in about 5 years' time, step by step. That's what we need to do. Going for that Premier League, it's going to take a while because these guys are not getting any worse. Sorry, these guys are not getting any bad. These Man Cities and Liverpool, they're always striving for more. Haaland, Nunes. In a couple of years, they will get the next big talent because at this moment, Man City and Liverpool, you want to play for them football clubs. You want to play for Man United, but in a different scale, maybe for money, mainly for other reasons. Maybe you kind of think that you could be that person that can uplift Man United. Maybe you believe in their past. Maybe you believe in a certain manager. But for me, I ultimately say with Man United is just very, very realistic. I personally don't think we're getting top four next season, and that's my own opinion. I
Wow.
genuinely don't. Yeah, Dan, I'll be honest with you, man. Man United fans can say, well, we've got a new manager and a whatnot, but you've got to understand how bad we were last season. Things don't change like that. I'm sorry, man. I've watched the last 2 or 3 years at this football club. It's been the same old, same old. That second place position, I think it was false. Other fans can have their opinion, but I don't think it was a league where Liverpool dropped off. A lot of teams dropped off at the same time. It was a rare, rare, rare kind of thing that happened that season. And since then, it's not been the same. So for me, manage expectations. I think it will be a challenge to get top four. I think it will be something that Man United should be able to do, but there's also having an expectation of if we don't, then you can't get mad because ultimately there's a lot to do. It's not the same as Arsenal where Arteta's got to fix certain positions and he spends that money. He has spent a lot of money, by the way. He spends that money and now there has
Yeah.
to be expectation to get top four. Whereas with Man United, it's still a stage of, you know what, right, we have to crawl before we can walk, if you know what I
Do you
mean.
think that we're further ahead than you then, Saeed, going into this season?
I think in terms of chemistry, yeah. In terms of playing style, yeah. I think in terms of maybe whether we call it a philosophy or whatnot, because ultimately Arteta ball is a bit hit and miss. But
Yeah, I agree.
ultimately there's a feeling of Arteta has had 2 or 3 years with this squad and he should be doing better than what he is. But I think for us, Ten Hag coming in now, it's about laying the foundation of having a style of play first. You could do what Ollie did and go into second, but then the next season when you came into actual football where there was crowds in, you're getting bopped off the park and you're getting absolutely done over. And then you get exposed. Because ultimately you have to play a style of football that
Yeah.
is, conducive to the fans and what they want to see. They don't want to see counter-attack football when they pay their hard-earned money. So ultimately he did that and he got exposed. Or do you say to the crowd, you say, you know what, I'm going to play good football. We are going to have some games where we might lose. But you know what, we're going to strive and we're going to give you everything to give you entertaining football. And we're going to make sure we're aiming to win every single game. And ultimately, you might have a few losses, but if you have that mindset that you're going in for the win, I think most fans can say, you know what? I'm not saying that we just tried, but ultimately there's a positive feeling that we're going into games. And then that confidence can come into clean sheets, into more wins, and so forth. So it's having that style of play first and then going from there because it's dog eat dog out here. It really, really is dog eat dog out here. And ultimately, it's going to be Tottenham are making moves. I'm not sure about Chelsea. If I'm being honest with you, I think they'll struggle next season. But
Yeah.
the West Ham's, you know what I call them? Them little teams that basically cause disruption are West Ham,
Yes.
Wolves, Leicester. They're the teams that just
Newcastle will do that now as well.
Newcastle. Yeah, they'll cause you. Them kind of team will just be they'll just disrupt your season. They'll just kind of
100.
make sure that there'll be a touch February and then they'll fall off. If you know what I mean. I'm back now. Sorry, I don't know if I went there.
Yeah, no,
But
you're
there'll be a
right.
team where they go into the
You could.
yeah, they went in there and then ultimately they just fell off. There'll be that team where they'll go and then they'll come back. So we'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah, we really will, man. Listen, there's a couple of things in the chat that will be a nice segue into my next segment on Manchester
Yeah.
United. And it was about the trust the process thing. But actually, there's a couple of issues here that they brought up in the chat that actually Arsenal had some issues with only a year or two ago. A clique issue within Arsenal a
Yeah.
couple of years back sounds similar to Manchester United, Marcus said. But also, Rich has brought up, he feels Saeed's happy that Ten Hag seems to be coming in, identifying the frauds that have been there way too long. Those that have cost the manager after manager after manager their jobs. Do you think there is some players like that just need to get the hell out of United now?
Massively, massively. I think some of them have left. I think Cavani being one of them. I think the story of Paul Pogba had to be done. I think for the fans' sake, for everybody's sake, that story had to close. And I think ultimately, best for both parties to leave. I think ultimately there's players that are in there that are prima donnas. I think they're better than they think they're better than what they are. I think they're not good enough for Man United. I generally think, I'll be amazed if they start next season. I genuinely do. There's some players that people are saying that they'll be able to kind of Ten Hag will be able to train them. I just think the kind of the story's finished for some of these lot. They're not good enough, and I don't think they'll ever be good enough. And I think ultimately we've been trying and trying. I don't know if it's the same with Arsenal, but there's certain players that just keep getting chances, and you're like, how is this guy getting chances when ultimately fans know he's not good enough? Or why are we giving him more chances? And it's almost that feeling that the club are in control of it and say, you know what, we need this player. He's a vital asset in terms of what we want to do. And ultimately, we want to give him the chance. So please, Ten Hag, can you put him in your plans? I hope that's not the case. But if it is the case, then that's where the clash comes. Because ultimately, thinking Maguire, are the club saying, right, we can't really afford to have him on a loss. It was a big project. We spent a lot of money on him. Ten Hag, make it work. If you know Maguire is playing next season, Dan, but then mistakes happen from the off, that just unsettles everything. Then it's a feeling of fans clashing with the manager. Fans, not in that sense, but you're almost thinking, right, we love Ten Hag, but come on, man, you got to drop McTominay. You got to drop Maguire. Come on. It's almost as if you don't want to go mad as a manager, but that player isn't good enough. But the club are saying, right, you've got to play these players. I'm sorry. We've got to play these players. We need them to start. These are our prize project. These are without our kind of core DNA and our core values in terms of having a British core playing, we don't exist and we don't have the same kind of qualities. So I just think for me, let's get rid of the deadwood, but also we need to bring in fresh blood because you can't have the same old squad play for a new manager and expect a different result. What's the definition of insanity? You know what I mean? It's trying the same things and expecting new results. It's not going to happen, people. You have to bring in something different, and that's where the challenge is for Man United. Can they do that in the short space now? People are saying that we've got a lot of time. Yes, we've got a lot of time, but it seems to me that we're not using that time wisely. It just seems to me that interested with this start. Let's get the deal done and let's get this moving quickly because preseason is around the corner. I think players have to report back to training next week, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
we're talking about 8 days or so. So, there ain't much time, man. There ain't much time. And it's got to be looking at acceleration time for a few of these clubs. And Manchester United and Arsenal are two of those, as well as, as well as Chelsea, because there's a lot of work to do. Let me show you where I think I'm at with Manchester United and what they need to do. I think this is a huge job for Ten Hag. And I don't see this as we'll just come in, put a style of play together, get a couple of players, and Man United will start winning again. Because I see quite a lot of holes in your side that I think need upgrading. I do think De Gea actually, for all the critics he does get, has probably been one of your better players the last couple of seasons, to be fair to him. But there's some issues at full back for me. There's some issues at centre back next to Varane. What do you do with Maguire? I've not seen a weak a weakest Man United midfield since the last couple of seasons with Fred and McTominay. You know, when you compare it to Keane, Scholes, Carrick of the years that I saw, that I can't believe that's not been upgraded before now. And then up top, I know Ronaldo's class, and he's one of the he probably is the best player ever, one of at least.
Mm,
But when you look at him as the only option at the moment up top that you have any faith in, that's a huge worry as well. Sancho,
mm,
been mismanaged. Class act, Sancho is. He needs more
mm,
time. He needs to be given a little bit of a cuddle, so to speak,
mm,
and told you're good enough. So there's a lot of work to do there. Bruno Fernandes and Ronaldo, it just doesn't seem
mm.
to work for me.
Nope.
There's no telepathy there. Considering they're both quality and
Mm,
both Portuguese, there's not enough
mm,
there. So I do think this could take a couple of windows, Saeed. So I wanted to ask you what you have accepted this season with Manchester United going into the new season as a kind of
mm.
objective, and what you'd kind of be happy with realistically.
Yeah, I think for me, realistically, I think again it's trying to get into that top four, but I think
Mm.
ultimately, if the manager isn't backed, I am not blaming the manager. I'm not Ten Hag out. You know what? I even went as far as last season saying if Ragnick doesn't get top four, I won't be criticizing Ragnick because I just knew that Man United ended up sacking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer too late. You know, if we'd have started the season with a new manager, I think we could have had a
Damage was done.
promising season. Damage was done. Yeah, damage was done. I think ultimately the players were just kind of left out to dry, and ultimately they didn't want to try under Ragnick. So for me, you know, expectations have to be realistic, especially with the level of players we've got and the deadwood still there at the football club. You have to almost like, you know, find a balance in the way you approach and you interpret Man United. So for us, it's get entertaining football, make us very very solid to beat. Understand that, you know, we're not going to be just rolled over. That has been happening time and time again. I can't name you a dominant Man United performance apart from Leeds at home at the start of the season. I genuinely can't.
Wow.
You know, I've been at Old Trafford every game of the season apart from Brentford, I think it was. Maybe Brentford because we dominated them, but again, they were on the beaches, so I can't really put that into consideration. But we've not had a dominant game. I think most away games have been rolled over. We've had a goal difference of 0 goals this season. That is shocking for a
Wow.
club of Man United. I think we've won one more game than we've lost. You know, so again, to get a total, I don't know how much points we've gotten. Let me know in the chat. Yeah, I think we've got about, was it 58 points? I think it was.
Mm.
So to get top four, what would you need for top four? Like, what did Tottenham get to get top four this season, or
Near on
Chelsea? What is
70
it?
or something stupid, wasn't it? It was
70.
like,
Yeah. So that, you know what I mean. So we're gonna have to get 15 points next season. You know what I mean? And that is going to be a test in itself. You know what I mean? You've got to be relentless. You've got to be winning at least 2 out of 3. You've got to be getting at least 4 out of 6. That's the kind of like record you've got to have in this Premier League to get top 4 or near enough to get top 4. Because I think next season teams will be harder. I think the ones that are coming in now, I think Nottingham Forest and these lot, they'll be coming in with a bit of atmosphere. They're looking to ruffle up people. Teams, when I look at Man United, I don't know if it's the same with you at Arsenal, yeah, but it's an absolute cup final for teams to play against Man United. You go to games and it's hostile. You go to, you know, at home games and they're coming in your face. They're trying to be expansive. They want to get that win against Man United because they're thinking, right, if we get that win, yeah, bro, that is a brilliant, brilliant point. So more than ever, teams are trying to work out Man United and make them, you know, get a famous win. And we've been naive to that, and we've just kind of took it easy. So it will be tough. So it's about managing expectations, and let's hope that we can get some positive next season because we've been bad, man. We've been really
yeah.
really bad. That's why people don't understand, man.
Yeah, I agree with you that it really is. It really is been bad for both of our clubs, to be fair. But before I go into what you need and what Arsenal need, because that's what we want to talk
Mm,
about, is who's going to be busier. I've got to talk to you about one player, man, because this is a massive L for me. What
mm.
there's only a club that's been run as badly as Man United that can allow Paul Pogba to go on a free transfer twice. Like
Yeah.
that for me just should not happen, mate. That's a massive L. Now I know he needs to get out of the club, and I don't like his attitude, and he has got quality, but only when he wants it. But surely to let him go on a
Mm.
free, buy him back for 100 million, and then let him go on a free again, that's some
Yeah.
incompetence there, surely, Saeed.
Kind of mad, you know, because I feel like with Pogba situation, I think it was always a project that Man United had more hopes than it should have been. I genuinely do think that Man United thought that it would be the final jigsaw to all the problems, and they
Mm.
had so much hope on Paul Pogba. being that person that would get Man United back to winning when he should have been part of the jigsaw, not the whole jigsaw. And I think ultimately people had the expectation because we weren't buying players of Paul Pogba's quality at that time. When you're looking at when he came, the season before, okay, we got Angel Di Maria and Falcao, but they were kind of players that didn't want to be there as well, especially Di Maria. He was sold after one season. This was the kind of big midfielder that we wanted. Because before that, I would say our best midfielder that we bought in was Michael Carrick. And then he was going towards the end of his career. So we needed someone to come in there and give us that kind of lift. And I genuinely do think that, you know what? That for all that we gave for this football club, Pogba wasn't going to come in and just make us better. He wasn't. He genuinely wasn't. So I just feel for me, it was a project that failed ultimately. I believe that when you look at it on the whole, it was a failure because at the end of the day, we didn't suit his needs. We didn't build around Paul Pogba. We didn't. We genuinely didn't. And that's, for me, damning on the football club. You can't tell. I look at it and I feel like Ozil was a prime example. I know a lot of people don't really like Ozil. There should have been more quality around him. He's another player that a lot of people had his hopes on. You can't pin everything on one player. It has to be a collective. Do you think Man City have one good player? No. They have 10 outfield good players. You know what I mean? Or they at least have 5 good players. Pep Guardiola doesn't say to De Bruyne, right, you go win me the game. No, it's Bernardo Silva. It's Kyle Walker filling that midfield. Cancelo draws into that midfield. They create overloads. Then you get Sterling on the right. Gundogan has an impact halfway through the season. But then you bring in all the impact on Paul Pogba to say, right, you go and produce the magic. No, it's not going to work out. If you don't build quality around players, it's never going to work out. And it's the same at every football club. You can't do it. I'm sorry, you can't do it. And ultimately, that's been the failure. But I'm happy he's gone. I'll be honest with you. I'm just done with the drama, Dan. I'm genuinely done. Maybe it's the same for you when Ozil left. I think you were just done with the drama. I am done with the drama, Paul Pogba. And let's see who's the next scapegoat. Because when you have bad problems at the football club and when you're so poor, you always have that one scapegoat. And I think Paul Pogba was that. Let's see who the next scapegoat is, in it? Because the media like to do it all the time. They like to pin one player and think, right, he should be the one that should be doing more. And everyone else should just sit back and not have that same kind of, commitment or responsibility. No, everybody's a team game. End of the day, football is a team game. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and it's interesting you bring up Mesut Ozil because those two epitomise their mentality. For me is similar. I don't like it. I don't like players like that. But actually, you're bang on with what you're saying because people always say, well, Pogba does it for France. Why do you think that is? Because he's got Kante next to him. He's got Benzema at top of him. He's got Mbappe alongside him. Yeah. These are players that actually complement him. And that's why he strives. And when you've got players like Kante alongside who I think, although people are saying in the decline, I think he's class and one of the best I've seen at what he does. Yeah. Those two together, imagine that at Man United. Then let's see what Pogba you would have had. So I think when you've got Matic, McTominay, Fred alongside Pogba, it doesn't complement him at all, mate. So I'm totally with you 100% there, bro. Listen, I want to do something which I call what you would like to happen and what you think will happen, right? So we're talking about the transfer window. We're talking about Manchester United. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, not just at your club, but also at Arsenal. So I want to have a look from a fan's perspective, Man United fan's perspective, about what you would like to see happen position-wise and maybe some of the players that you think you need to take you to that next level. And then we'll come back and talk about what you think is going to happen because, of course, there's a lot of rumours at the moment. So over to you, man.
So what I think will happen, I think ultimately, we'll see De Jong get over the line. I think you know what, they will do it. I think that will happen. I think they'll get Anthony over the line. I think they'll get that transfer over the line done with. And I think that's about it for me in terms of them positions. At this minute, I don't see anything else happening. I'll be honest with you. I don't think there will be any much kind of, transfers. People talk about Lisandro Martinez happening. I'm not sure. It's not concrete at the minute. I just can't see Ajax selling 2 players to Man United. I just can't see it happening. I don't think they would do that. I think it would be very irresponsible. Even though they are selling club, I'm not sure it would happen to the same club as well. And that's all I can think of right now that is a concrete and that I can give you right now on Tuesday, the 21st of June. I can say this is going to happen. What I want to happen is a whole different subject, brother. Because we need a lot, man. I think we need a left back. We need a centre back daily. I mean, daily. We need an absolute powerhouse. We need a Rudiger. We need a Diaz. We need a Van Dijk. We need that sort of profile of defender that can come in and make it happen. Yeah, someone's talking about Ericsson. Yeah, sorry, I missed that one. Ericsson because of the free, so I think that will happen as well. But in terms of what I want to happen, I think we need a left back. I think Shaw is massively overrated. Yeah, I'll say it on here, mate. I think he's massively overrated. I think for me, people assume that he's gonna have a good season. It's like another one that, it's crazy, isn't it? How people say, Paul Pogba should be performing every year, but then again, don't criticize Luke Shaw. I just don't understand it because he's had one good season in 7, 8 years, and that is a fact. You know what I mean? So Shaw, I think we could do the left back there. So that's two positions there. I think we need a central defensive midfielder. I can't for the life of me. I can't for the life of me see. I don't know if you have you seen a great Premier League team that have not had a sound defensive midfielder in there. I don't know. Can you remember any? I don't know if I can remember any. That I've not had a good midfielder in central defensive midfielder in
Well,
there.
if you go through the teams that won the title, Vieira, Yaya Toure, Keane, Scholes, even those that didn't, that won Champions Leagues, or even like the Gerrards of this world, but holding midfielders, you're absolutely bang on. There's not been one that I can think of that has not been in a Premier League title winning side, and that's just facts. And Fred and McTominay, they need upgrading, bro.
Oh, massively, man. Absolutely massively. I think Fred deserves more praise than he gets, but in terms of them as a pair, nah, I'm sorry. Dreadful, dreadful. I think we do need one there. I think for me, the De Jong situation has to happen. That's what I mentioned there. Because we need a deep line playmaker, someone that can get the ball from deep here, just get the ball and drive forward. It's so, people don't realize it here, what Rodri does for Real Madrid, for Man City. And what Thiago does. Yeah, man. Deep line playmakers for me are such an underrated role that people don't really kind of look towards. But Modric has been doing it for years. Kroos has been doing it for years. Getting the ball from deep and then carrying the ball, moving it forward, and then getting the ball in behind and causing danger in transition. For me, it's absolutely brilliant. I think that's another one. We need a right winger, obviously. You know what I mean? We've seen the situation on the right hand side, with that person that is in, that's not play for Man United play anymore. We need Anthony. We need someone that can come in there and give us that kind of threat because we've always kind of gone, we've never had that kind of chemistry on that right hand side. It's always been vacant for some reason. Matt has been on there. It's been very, very dry on that right hand side. So we need someone there. And ultimately, if you're being honest, we do need a striker. If I'm being really honest with you, Ronaldo isn't going to cut it for the whole season. That's why there was a large part of me that I thought Ronaldo was finished in the period of January, February time where he was just stinking the place out. He was not looking himself. He was getting bullied off the ball. I thought the Premier League was starting to take its toll on him. I thought he was just physically, it was getting worse. I don't know. That was my own opinion. He started to get that little bit of a rest where he had, I think, an injury, and I think Ragnar gave him some time to rest. I think when he came back, he looked a bit more stronger and more physical. I think we do need a striker, and yeah, I think that they're the key positions, I would say, because we need to get it in, man. This transfer window is not slowing down, man. I can't believe it's already the end of June. I know the transfer window started about 11 days ago, but you also got to remember that the season is only 7 weeks away, less than 7 weeks away,
and they got to bed in these players and pre-season.
Yeah. Bed in, they got to come in.
It's a madness.
Manager has to get them around and see what system he's going to do in the pre-season. Because ultimately, if they don't have a good pre-season, you won't see them play good until about October, November time. That's what I've noticed from I'm watching football. If they don't have a great pre-season, they don't really bed in until October, November time, where the games come thick and fast, and then they get more game time. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and listen, I think you're talking facts, man. I really do. And before we move on to Arsenal and your thoughts on what we might need, I'm going to bring this in here because this was what I was going to talk about. Van de Beek and De Jong were two players that Ten Hag, they absolutely thrived under. Do you think that could be Manchester United's midfield next season, bro?
I'll be honest with you, man. I'm not going to lie to you, man. The Donny van de Beek one is a situation where I'm not sure about, when you don't know about a player anymore. I don't know how Donny van de Beek plays anymore. I've not seen him play at Man United for a while now. I think lockdown was the last time I seen him play. But it's almost as if it's difficult. What sort of version are you going to get from Donny van de Beek? What sort of player are you going to see now? It's difficult because you've seen a version of him at Ajax, but he hasn't translated to Man United. And in them 2 years, he hasn't seen football. You've got to give him time. If it takes him 6 months to settle into Man United, we've got to give him that time. But ultimately, I don't want another loan. I hope it's at my United. I hope he flourishes. I hope he comes into that play that we all thought it would be, because I know the talent. The talent's there. Everybody knows what Donny van de Beek's like. So it's all about finding that version of Ajax that came back. And who better than Ten Hag to bring that back, because he worked with him under him at Ajax. So what better person to bring him back, eh?
I think you're right, and I think we will see him there. And I think that he might even be better than you're thinking because he's got the confidence now and lift from the
Yeah,
manager. Sometimes you need that, Saeed. You know, when you play and you think this manager don't like me, you're just down and you're out. And that's
yeah,
what it was with Van der Beek. I don't think Ollie ever gave him the chance, and Ralph Rangnick sent him out on loan to Everton, where, to be fair, he didn't really flourish either. So I think when you're coming
nah,
back to a manager that really believes in you, that could be good news for Manchester
yeah,
United, mate.
yeah,
It really could.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, just
But
lastly,
time will
man,
tell.
just lastly, man, on Man United before we move on, striker wise,
Mm.
you say you need a striker. I agree, I really do. Who would you like to see come as the number 9 at Arsenal? At Man United, sorry.
At my United, yeah. Bro, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. There's hardly any number nines out there, man.
Hard, isn't
I
it? Yeah.
initially looked at Skamaka from Swaswolo. I think he's a player that I thought, you
Yeah,
know
we've been
what,
linked with him.
yeah, he's a good player, man. I think he's hold up player, the way he brings into people plays a technical striker. I like technical strikers. Me, you can have them pace merchants and whatnot, but this guy is a real deal in terms of technically sound. I think he's something gives us something he offers us, and it's that it gives me that Zlatan vibes. It really, really does. And I love
Mm.
Zlatan when he was at Man United, and obviously he's younger as well. He's 23, so again that can give us that advantage there. But yeah, I think for me, it's not looking great, you know, man, in terms of that option. But I think Scamacca, I think Lautaro Martinez, man, from Inter Milan. I think he's a very, very traditional number 9. He's one of them out there, a dying breed, and that's all I can think of. Lewandowski would have been my kind of crazy option if Man United were to get him for about 2 years and build someone else up and bring someone else up. That could have been an option, but listen, there isn't much. We might have to wait this period now. This next year, there'll be another Nunes. There'll be
Yep.
another striker. Skamaka might have
Vlahovic,
a good second season.
Nunez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jonathan David, someone saying that might be a breakthrough season. There'll be a breakthrough season from somewhere where he had an okay season last season, and then all of a sudden 30 goals out of nowhere. Like you're thinking, wow, it could be a guy, you know what I mean, the Real Madrid striker, you know what I mean? He could have a brilliant season on loan from somewhere, and then he could go to us. I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah, it will be interesting, man. I think it's a position that we're so desperate to buy a couple of players in.
Yeah, Osimhen,
Um,
yeah.
Oshimen is one. Tammy Abraham, I really do like. Not a lot of people give him enough credit. I think he's criminally underrated for what he does and what he has done at
Yeah,
Roma and also at Chelsea. Scamacca is somebody that I would be interested in looking at more because he's a profile
yeah,
of striker that I like. So again, I think Arsenal and United are both sniffing around the same names, and we're both in a similar position where Europa
yeah.
League is going to be harder to attract some of the bigger players. So it'll be interesting to see
Mm,
what happens. But I want to run past some of the Arsenal rumours and then get your take on Arsenal next season, mate, because it's always good to get
yeah,
opposing views. Um,
yeah,
this is what apparently we're doing. We've signed Marquinhos, which is another 19-year-old Brazilian who's not really going to be one for now, but one for the future. That doesn't
yeah.
excite Arsenal fans. Today we've signed Fabio Vieira, player that not really many people know much about, but some of the Arsenal
Mm.
fans will tell you that he's the next Bruno and the next Bernardo Silva,
Yeah,
bro. Right? So
it's
let's just
crazy. Yeah,
calm
it's
down.
crazy.
Let's
Yeah,
just calm down and see him play first. But of course, highly rated, 22, nice, pretty
yeah.
footballer, and one that I think will give us some backup and good competition for places. Then we have
Mm,
some links. Gabriel Jesus heavily linked with Arsenal as the next centre
mm,
forward. Played under Arteta, and apparently that's been a huge pull and reasons why he's coming to Arsenal to play first team football. Rafinha today from Leeds, a winger who, let's be honest, is Premier League proven and one that I'd be very excited about because I think he looks
mm,
exceptional and was one of Leeds'
mm,
best players. The other players that are linked with us is Lissandro Martinez, who's a player that you know very well and
mm.
Ten Hag will know very well. Man United are linked with as well. Um,
Absolutely.
so there's some players there. Tielemans is the other one that has
Mm,
apparently called off a bit of interest, but Arsenal were interested in. Arsenal look like they're going to spend a lot of money, Saeed.
mm,
Would you, in my position, be excited about their transfer window? Not so much the manager and owner will come into that in a bit,
mm.
but
No, it's
as far
exciting.
as the
Yeah.
transfer window goes.
No, no. I think it's exciting. I think this Vieira kid. I'm not sure where he's going to fit in because I feel like having you got Odegaard in that position, is it for
Yeah.
depth? I think that's interesting. It may be that Arteta's trying to change his system where maybe he plays a lone six and then has two eights operating with Odegaard and Vieira, and then you get more pressing involved and maybe you win the ball back higher. Maybe that's the situation there. But in terms of your signings, obviously, again, you haven't signed Rafinha, you haven't signed Jesus. So it could be an average window. So it's crazy to think that two signings, and then you're actually a strong outfit for next season. You're looking at Saliba coming back in. That's strengthened your defense a little bit. You possibly need backups for your fullbacks because I feel like for me, you've got Kieran Tierney who's injury prone, whether you like it or not, and
Yeah,
this
facts.
one is injury prone as well. The Japanese brother, what's his called? Tomiyasu, is
Tomiyasu.
it called? Yeah, he's injury prone as well. Cedric is not a backup. Again, is Saliba coming in to kind of make, bridge the gap, and maybe he can play right back. Maybe that's the situation there. But I look at the signings and the opportunities that you're getting. I'm not gonna lie, man. It's worrying on a United's perspective, just because I never thought that Arsenal would get them sort of players. I always think with Arsenal that when you bought players in the past, when you're looking at Giroud, it wasn't a sort of player that I thought you would buy. When you look at Rosicky, you always buy players that not many. Your scouting network was very good on the Wenger in terms of buying these players. And then, you know what I mean? You go and get Partey, you go and get what do you call it? You go and get certain players. You're thinking Odegaard, okay, they're trying to come into that team where now they're good on the eye. They're looking to play football now, and Arteta's trying to bring in this philosophy of playing out from the back and then transitioning wise, he wants them to be fluid. So I get that, and I think Rafinha adds that flair. I think Jesus adds the goals. You need more depth in there. Obviously, you've got Nketiah, who's been given the illustrious 14 now. So it's starting to look good. But I think now there has to be the expectation now where Arsenal now, if they're going to buy these signings, that they have to push on now. And it has to be an expectation that Arsenal do get top four and they maybe challenge for third because, who's to say that now Arsenal can't do that when you've spent now, how much is it, 400 million? If they go and buy the players who've got, is it 400 million now you spent in the 3 years? So
Nearly
it
half
is
a
a lot of
billion,
money.
mate.
I think Jesus and Rafinha especially is the one for me that I'm looking at. Wow, X Factor now. You've got an X Factor sign in Rafinha. You've got Jesus. You've got a Brazilian flair going on all of a sudden. You know what I mean? So you got that Brazilian core going on there. There's got more depth now. So there shouldn't be excuse now for injuries. When I've been hearing about Arsenal fans moaning about injuries and whatnot, now you can't really speak about injuries now. You've got depth in now. You've got this. You've got that. So there isn't an excuse anymore. And if Arteta can't pull it out the window and pull out the draw and say, right, we need more and we need this and that and we've got a lot of games. No, mate, you've got a big squad now. You spent, someone say there, 450 million. That's a lot of money to you for just saying that we haven't got really depth. Now it's time to really kick on now. And I genuinely think now, whether you're Arteta in, Arteta out, and if you're still Arteta in, Arteta out after this, that's fairly up to you. And you know what? Everyone's got their own opinion. But for me now, the book stops now where people stop having these excuses that Arsenal are not ready now to go and do some damage now, cause problems, have now this impetus, have this kind of confidence now to kick on now and stop going fifth, sixth, eighth. You know what I mean? Now has to be an expectation of we have to get that top four and then move it to third. I think the second and first, I'm not gonna lie, it's out of the reach for now. But at least get into that third position, win a couple of cups, and start to move in a more positive direction. But for you to say trust the process and get fifth, and we shouldn't be competing in that field, and people are spending more money than us. Well, it's proven now that it's spending more money than everyone now, 450 million. I'm sorry, you've got to go and get better and do better because ultimately you bottled the top four last season. Whether you dress it up or not, you bottled it because you were in a comfortable position, 4 points ahead of Tottenham, and you had the ascendancy. All you need to do at Tottenham was get a draw and then move on, or at least be hard to beat. And you know what I mean? But you didn't do that. And now you're in Europa League now, and it's a case of going in there next season and putting a desire to be the best and be better than Tottenham and be better than Man United and be better than and Chelsea, because Chelsea I think will struggle next season. So you have to take advantage. You can't just think that you're not better than these lot and just have that kind of. You have to have the confidence.
Listen, and that's, ladies and gentlemen, is why I brought Saeed on, because he's talking facts, man. And
Yeah.
listen, I honestly, bro, could not disagree with anything you're saying. because the excuses are getting on my nerves, mate. If I'm honest with you, the
Yeah,
Arsenal fan
absolutely.
base talk absolute nonsense about these excuses, and I said it on
Yeah,
AFTV, and everyone laughed. But I was talking facts when I said it. This guy needs more Windows than Microsoft, and I said it, and everyone said it, and they clicked it
yeah,
and laughed
that's
and all
good.
that.
That yeah,
But it is so true. Nobody else
yeah,
needs transfer windows this many. Like Conte had one and got Spurs into the top four. Arteta has had five. Yeah, this will be his fifth one, I think, maybe even the sixth one now.
yeah.
I've lost track. You can't have that many more transfer windows before you start to say
Mm.
this is now his squad. This isn't an Arsene Wenger or an Unai Emery team anymore. This is a Mikel Arteta and Edu setup, and you have to start winning and performing. There's no excuses for me last year when you got one game a week and spent $250 million
I know
not to get in the top
exactly.
four,
Yeah,
right? Not to get in the top
yeah.
four. We didn't do it. Everybody gave excuses. Oh, the injuries, the injuries. Oh, it's his first time in the job. He needs more time. He needs more transfer windows. We still haven't got a striker. Well, in January, that was his decision not to go and get a striker because he sold our
Exactly.
best one to Barcelona. So when I look at these excuses, it really frustrates me. Now, there ain't no more, mate. There is no more
No,
next season.
they
If he
should.
don't get top four with a £450 million budget, then I'm sorry, mate. He needs to go. And we need to go and
Yeah,
get somebody else in.
100%. And I think ultimately, if you think that when people say, "Oh well, Conte's a better manager," then well, then Arsenal should need a better manager. Then if that's your premise,
Precisely. Great
you know what I
point.
mean? Yeah. So then you
Great,
know what I
great
mean.
point.
So if you're thinking that Conte's a better manager, then Arsenal should be getting Conte, and Arsenal should be getting a better manager because you shouldn't be able to. You shouldn't judge your season based on Arteta's credits or credentials or his actual capabilities. It should be Arsenal Football Club first, rather than the expectation of Arteta because he's learning on the job. It shouldn't be based on that. Same way it shouldn't be based on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer having to be, you know what I mean, learning the job or whatnot, and he is working on a budget, etc., etc. So exactly, yeah. But that's what I mean. That's expectation of Liverpool. They want that, and they don't go and get it, and he'll make that happen.
Mm,
Arteta, would he make it happen? That's the problem. I genuinely believe he's actually, you know, he tries to play that style of play, but ultimately he's just not good enough. Maybe he's just not good enough,
mm,
and maybe some things don't work. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we tried and tried and tried, and ultimately, Dan, it wasn't good enough, and it wasn't ever going to be good enough. Maybe you're wasting your time with Arteta. Maybe it is, and I think maybe they'll find out too late because that's what they did with Arsenal. Sorry, with Man United, we found out too late, and the season was done. And then it took so long, and then the new manager has to come in, and he thinks, well, these lot here, I don't really want them. I don't want Odegaard. I don't want this player. I don't want this player. And then he
mm.
start back again. So if the club are really have this belief that he is the right man, they're backing him now. So he's got to produce now. And that's why I say if last season wasn't a fair assessment on Arteta, this season, I'm sorry, man. If anyone comes out and sees Arsenal are 11th and it's January and you're not looking like you're getting top four, it could be a possibility. This
Yeah,
season I've
listen.
proven that you know, if that's not the case, I'm sorry. It's time to go. Like the late Claude
Yeah.
said, man, it's time to go.
Yeah, he did. And I started to use that for a while, bless him. I still miss
Yeah,
Claude, I can't lie.
yeah,
Um,
man.
but listen, I want to talk a couple of things before we wrap up, Saeed. I want to talk a
Yeah,
little bit about who needs to be busier this window. Because we've spoken about what United need. We've clearly seen what rumours there are about floating about for both Arsenal and Man United. Is it fair to say that Eric Ten Hag has probably got or the need for a busier window than Mikel Arteta, or do you still see that Arsenal and Man United probably need, quite a few players still?
I think with Arsenal, I think they need to take advantage of United's kind of the frailties of what United can do and what they can't do. I think they need to take advantage of Chelsea, Arsenal. I think Chelsea are going to be in for a rough ride. You know what I mean? Because they've lost a lot of players and they need to do a lot. They need to take
Rumours
advantage
of
of Arsenal.
Lukaku going back to Inter Milan tonight as well.
Yeah, I think it's done. I think it's done. I just checked now. Yeah, here we go. Fabrizio just confirmed it. So
There you go.
they need a striker. They're battling for you guys, and that's why for me, Arsenal need to come in and seal this deal for Jesus quickly because they need a striker. And if they don't have a striker next season, they're finished. So you got to look at that situation there. I think with Man United, I think they need players. Ultimately, I think they need it for Ten Hag's sake. I think the fans right now, I think I've took enough. I've took that much bullets that I'm still here. You know what I mean? Still here, and I'm still there. But in terms of Arsenal, I think they need to solidify that top four. They need to almost tell Arsenal. So tell Man United, Chelsea that you're not coming in here. Like
Mm.
we own this. We've got a good window, and we're claiming this top four space and maybe possibly third. Because I think third and fourth, they're not they're a bit overrated, aren't they? You know what I mean? It's not hard to get into third and fourth now, is it? You know, when you look at it, so
Well, the
it
collapse of
shouldn't be
last season,
celebrated.
it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
Nobody wanted it.
exactly.
Nobody wanted it.
Nobody
It
wanted it,
was,
so that's why I think it's a bit overrated to get top four now, because it doesn't really kind of show you anything. Because the next season after that, you could be poor. Look at Chelsea. Last couple of years since Conte left, their Premier League record is a joke. Like for what their club is meant to do and what money they've had, their Premier League record is pretty much abysmal. You know what I mean? So, end of the day, I think Man United do need more, but ultimately, Ten Hag needs a lot, man. I worry for him. If he doesn't get the silence he gets here, I genuinely do worry for him, because it could be peak. It could be, he could get a reality shock. And you know what? Ralph Rangnick is a confident guy. I've watched Ralph Rangnick's conferences. I know that he's been through a lot. And he must have thought, bloody hell, mate, this is toxic, innit? Players
yeah, it
turn up
must
to
have.
training late. It
Must
will be
have,
a
man.
shock to Ten Hag. Whether he likes it or not, whether he thinks he's a strong guy, he will be in for a shock how bad it is at Man United. Just in general, the structure of the football club, you know?
It's unbelievable to see both our clubs like they are, but I must say, we're poor. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to
Yeah,
laugh at your club when we're shocking, but I am shocked at Man United at how bad you've been, particularly last
massively,
season.
man.
I never thought it was going to be that bad, mate. I thought it would, but I thought you would.
Neither
If it
did
was
I.
going to be a bad season for you, you just drop out the top four maybe in the last few games by throwing it away. It just never really got started, did it, for Man United? It was just shocking,
No,
mate. So let's see
no.
what happens now that Ten Hag comes in, man. Listen, the last couple of questions are from regular listener Mr. Waffle. Big up yourself, man. This question I'll put to you, Saeed. Any rumours on how much Man United's budget is? That's a good question. How much do you reckon?
Oh, mate, listen, that budget has been kind of, done about 50 million drafts, mate. I don't know, man. I believe if you're looking at 70 million for De Jong, you're looking at 40 million for Anthony. What does that take you to? 110? And then I'm presuming 150. I'm going to go for 150 million. I think more than that, you're almost not being realistic. And for me, I hate that word, not being realistic, because as a fan, everything should be realistic, because you're paying your hard-earned money to watch,
Yep.
football club. You go watch season ticket. You've invested to the football club. Every fan invests into the football club, whether you like it or not, or whether you shouldn't think we should want something. We have a season ticket. We should expect the best players at the football club. And for us, for the season we've had, we should expect at least 5 to 7 players. And if it means spending 200 million, you spend that money wisely, wisely, and spend it accordingly. But you guys are there. Why should, as a fan, we should be, said, oh, but he's been spending wrongly for so many years and you can't do that anymore. Well, that's not my problem. Is that my fault? Have I done that?
Yeah.
No,
Great
you've done
point.
that. So at the end of the day, I shouldn't feel bad about the club spending. So you go and do it properly, and you do it and you spend as well. So sorry, mate, I'm sick of that word, realistic and all that. It's them lot that are not doing it properly. We're as fans, we're here. So end of the day, it's crazy, man. So we'll see. We'll see, man. Time will tell.
Yeah, and I think you're talking facts, and I'm the same. People always talk about, oh, I'm not willing to overspend. Well, I overspend every week by going to the Emirates, home and away, watching Arsenal. I
Yeah.
overspend, so why can't my football club overspend when I need them
There
to?
you go. Exactly. If you
Honestly,
go
bro.
far away, home and away, you're going all these places and you're going above and beyond. Well, I'm sorry, man. The club have got to do so as well.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Listen, the final question of the night. Saeed, do you think that Man United will finish above Arsenal next season?
So you know what? I don't really like these kind of questions, and this is no like disrespect
All
to Mr.
depends, doesn't it?
Waffle, but it all depends. And also, I don't think it should be championed. I don't think it should be a case of like
Seen as an
it doesn't have
achievement.
no relevance. Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
just a case
yeah.
of if both of you have made top four, I don't think anybody's bothered about finishing third or fourth. I don't know if that's if your case. You're
No, I
both in the
agree.
top four. So at the end of the day, if you're becoming like last year, okay, on the big six we were having banter with each other, but ultimately, really, like we had that banter, but then also at the end it was like, yeah, well, we finished shit in it. We're both shit. Like that's all it is. We're both
Mm,
shit, and next season we must do better. So I think ultimately, for me, I don't. I'm just kind of focused on where we finish, and we have to be in that top four. It might not
mm.
happen, and I'm not expecting it to happen, but we got to aim big. So let's hope, man. That's all we can do right now. Just hope. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? As
hope
much as we
indeed, man.
can. Yeah, it's crazy. It's
I'm going to
crazy.
bring these in just because they've just come up and I think they're good. Nan, I love that name.
Yeah.
Would Poch be a good fit for Arsenal if Arteta was sacked and he would be open to taking the job? What do you make of that one? Pochettino, like some people say great
Hmm.
manager, some people say no, still hasn't won anything. Do you think Arsenal would benefit from somebody like him if Arteta was to be sacked?
I'm not sure if that's the right way to go, man. I'll be honest with you. I think Poch's old story, man. It sounds crazy to think that because I wanted him about 2, 3 years ago. But I'll be honest with you, man. I think Arsenal need a better manager than Poch,
Experienced winner.
especially
Yeah.
the experienced winner, man. I think Pochettino is almost another story of proving why he should be managing Arsenal. What has he won? You're gonna get them situations. What has he won? What has he done this? Whereas at least if you get a manager like Conte, similar ilk of Conte, you're like, right, we can believe in that. I think someone like Allegri, I think someone like I don't know, someone like a Simeone, if he was available, would be a perfect fit for Arsenal.
That's my number one.
Arsenal, yep,
That's
there
my
you
number
go.
one.
Simeone. And I think if it doesn't go well in the next year or two for Simeone, I think he could look for a new opportunity. So
That's
let's
my
see.
number one, bro.
If
That's my
Spurs can
number
get
one.
Conte, why shouldn't you want the best?
Bruv, I said this. Conte, oh, he'll never come to Arsenal. Then he went to Tottenham. Everyone shut up. Simeone's my number one. I probably would take Mancini because I think he's proven and obviously he's won
Mhm.
stuff, not just at club level but nationally as well. And if we do want to go down the route of a younger type manager that's maybe close to home, I'm a massive fan. And again, he's not won anything. I'm a massive fan of what I'm seeing from Graham Potter at Brighton. I just don't understand how
Yeah,
he's doing that
underrated,
with that team, man.
underrated,
How that is just
underrated.
unbelievable what he's done there for a couple of years. So that's the
Yeah.
one I go for. Simeone in a heartbeat for me. And lastly, something that doesn't involve Arsenal or Man United. Marcus said, "Do you think Haaland and Nunes will hit the ground running at City and Liverpool?" And he said, "Do you think, not do you hope?"
Yeah, man. I think, man, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think with the Nunes situation, the system will kind of hide his deficiencies, and I think he'll score goals. I think with Haaland, I think they'll just be another kind of Aguero, Wayne Rooney kind of era. You know, when we had them strikers that were just scoring goals for fun. Van Persie was in there. I think
Yeah.
it'll be that kind of era now, which is scary to think.
Mm.
But I don't know. Liverpool don't really do big flops lately. You know what I mean? Like I said to you, you know what I mean? Spurs as strikers, they've done well now. Suarez, Torres, Sturridge. You don't really have bad strikers, do they? I know Benteke they had, but Firmino did well there. They don't really have bad strikers, Liverpool.
I
So we'll
agree.
see.
Yeah, I agree.
So
You think over the
especially in the
years,
last kind of 10 years,
oh,
Suarez was
mate,
a top striker, man.
Suarez, Torres. You go back even further, Fowler, Owen. It's honestly,
Yeah,
mate,
man.
just
Traditionally, they've had
crazy.
good strikers, man. So I
Yeah.
think, what I mean, I think he'll do well, man. But again, I hope he doesn't. I had to get that one in there.
Of course, man. Of course. Listen, bro. I want to big up everyone in the chat, but most importantly, I want to big up you, Saeed, for coming on.
Big up, man.
Absolute top,
Appreciate you.
top man. Listen, I appreciate. Nah, come on. I appreciate you coming on, mate. It's been class to talk to you, articulately about both of our clubs and honestly about both of our
Mm,
clubs, bro. I think we're on the same wavelength to where we were and to where we're at now, man. But listen, first
mm.
of all, let's plug your shit, man. So get yourself out there with what you're up to, how to follow you, man.
Yeah, man. Just check me out here, man. I upload daily. Yeah, man. Saeed TV. Check me out on there. Do daily shows on there. And yeah, man, just try to expand as well, man. But yeah, man, big up to you, this community. Make sure you guys follow him. I think it's a good concept, good idea. And yeah, man, onwards and upwards for you, mate. All the best on this channel, man.
Ah, listen, you're a legend, bro, and I hope you can be a regular part of it as and when you're free. I know you're a busy man, but I appreciate you
Absolutely.
coming on, my bro. And
Anytime.
honestly,
Anytime, man.
get yourselves. I know there's a lot of Man United fans are going to watch this content, so we don't just have Arsenal fans on here. That's why it's a Premier League podcast. So we have everybody listening. Of course, we have a lot of gooners though that follow me over, but. Get yourself over to Saeed TV, man, and subscribe and do all that business. Saeed, we'll speak to you very soon, man. I'm sure. Good luck
Big
for the
up.
rest of the season. Listen, I'm sure I'll talk to you before that, and hopefully you get some
Hopefully.
signings,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
bro, and we'll go
Let's
from there.
hope.
But we'll,
Let's
we'll
hope, man.
catch up.
Big up.
Yeah, let's hope, man. We'll catch up with you soon. Until then, next time, we'll see you later, chat. Take it easy, and as always, up the Arsenal.